Hello everybody, this is Michael Lee, back with more lumberjack fire safety work. Let's get it. This video will be a full property tour. I just finished everything. The weed whacking, brush cutting, prescribed low intensity burns, burn piles, and chainsaw work. Lumberjack fire safety work, fire escaping, excessive fuel load reduction, whatever you want to call it. Fire safety work, basically making the land more open, healthy, sustainable, and fire resistant. So let's do a full property tour of Doug's property here in Butte Creek Canyon. This is the first property I started working on in this area, and this is the completion of year number 2 of me working on this property. So I just finished, and let's do the full property tour of my work. Now this is a 33.3 acre property that runs a giant rectangle a little bit up over the cliffs up there to right there, all the way down this ravine. See the ravine? There's a road, and then all the way to the other side, all the way down there, and then the rectangle comes back up again this way. Does that make sense? So big property, and I only have done the land immediately surrounding the house. I'd say about 10 or 11 acres I've done. There's really no point to me going up into the more wild and woolly section because it's far enough away from the property owner's house that there's no fire risk, okay? So you start at the house and you work in concentric circles out, fireproofing the land. So let's take a tour of this upper section, and then we'll go downhill and look across the road and look at the lower section. Now this is that area where I made all the videos of the invasive Himalayan blackberry removal, non-native invasive species. I burned it 3 times and weed whacked it 3 times. This stuff is nearly impossible to get rid of, but I did the best that I could. There it is, Himalayan blackberry. It's got those thorns on it. Okay, this stuff's horrible. It just grows everywhere and chokes out all the native vegetation, so I do my best to remove it. Well, you'll notice how open the land looks with large, healthy trees spaced wide apart. That's what you want. You don't want a bunch of trees growing close together, choked with ladder fuels, weeds, and excessive fuel loads. That's no good. You want it to be open, and you want the trees to be large, healthy, and well spaced. Does everyone see that? That's where I did a burn pile. So this all used to be that nasty thorn blackberry stuff here. Now it's looking good. Cut 2 dead California black walnuts here and here. There's the burl left, and I did all the bucking and the splitting, and got about 2 cords of beautiful black walnut and valley oak for the property owner from up here. Okay. Just compare this video to what this upper section used to look like, and you can get a before and after. Cut another dead black walnut here, and then I did a low intensity prescribed burn in this area because I wanted to help this California buckeye out. This is California buckeye, one of my favorite California native trees. Beautiful color, huh? Cut another dead black walnut here, did another burn pile there. There's the ravine. Did a lot of weed whacking down there because fires like to burn up the ravines in this area. The wind fuels them. Look at this big old foothill pine. Whew, what do you think, about 4 foot diameter? Something like that. Oh, that's a big tree. Now, I also helped deconstruct this old barn here that a giant valley oak had fallen on during the snowstorms last winter, and it crushed the roof. So the property owner and I dismantled this barn here, and that was quite the undertaking, but it really helped to make this upper section just look bigger and more open. Getting rid of that old barn. So this is where all the it used to, the previous property owner had this as a sheep ranch, and he would put the sheep in here at night so the mountain lions wouldn't kill them, and this is all sheep manure from just years of sheep being in the barns. Isn't that phenomenal? That's a lot of poop. Okay. This will be discarded or recycled, and then this will be reused. All this building material is still good. Some good Douglas fir lumber there. Another burn pile. There's parts of the big oaks that fell on the barn. Got that all cleaned up. This will all be removed, discarded, and recycled. There were 2 large oaks that fell in the snowstorm here, and I got that bucked and cleaned up, processed, turned into firewood. And then this was all rotten on the insides, so no good for firewood, so I left the rest there. Oh, these are really important plants right here, everybody. These are California native plants called soaproot. Really cool. Deer love munching on them, and you can also make brushes out of the bulbs. Okay, Native Americans use the soaproot for a lot of different things, actually. Cut a dead California black walnut here. Cut a dead valley oak here. This was a tricky one. And then more blackberry and noxious weed removal from here. You notice how there's just not much for a fire to burn up here. Fires need fuel in order to burn, obviously. So if you take away the excessive fuel loads of the land, then fire cannot burn, at least not with any intensity. Look at that. Yeah. Look at this foothill pine. This one's probably 5 foot diameter. Yeah. That's a big tree. Here's the biggest foothill pine that's up here in the upper section. This one's probably 5.5 foot diameter. Look at that branch coming off to the left. Just that one branch is bigger than 10 normal trees. Oh, look at it, goes way up there. That's probably 150 foot, 5.5 foot diameter. Now you'll also see a nice ponderosa pine right there. And you'll see another nice ponderosa pine right there. Let's go a little bit closer and look at those. There we go. This is the elevation where you start to see ponderosa pines at about at about 1,500 feet elevation here in Northern California is where the ponderosa pines start to grow. Some nice trees up here. Okay, let's go down to the wood pile, which is next to the house. There's about, there's at least 15 cords of wood down there that I've made. There's the old flume from the logging days and mining days. All right, we'll go look at the giant wood pile I made. We'll go look at some more burn piles, and then we'll go across the street and look at the lower section of the property. Man, that's steep right here. Okay, burn pile. So all the limbs and branches and wood that's no good for firewood, I burn in burn piles. So let's take a quick look down here. I did a lot of weed whacking and brush cutting around the barn. We're close to the house now, so I really hit this area hard. That bush right there is called coyote brush. It's a California native plant. There go $2. Sorry guys, didn't mean to scare you. Young bucks, really young bucks, probably 2 years old. They must have been hanging out in the cool barn. Well, maybe they're 3 years old. Their antlers are still fuzzy. Yeah, they look good. Those are healthy. Those are some nice looking bucks. Yeah. Young bucks. All right. Anyways. Here's some California native bunch grass. You can see it's just now going to seed. You notice how all the California native plants kind of are still green? They're way better than the non-native stuff at staying alive and wet and green even through the hot summer months. Now this is another California native plant called Brodea bulb. You can dig up the bulbs and eat them, put them on top of your salad, and they have these beautiful purple flowers. And bumblebees love these purple flowers. Brodea. Here's some more California native bunch grass. Did weed whacking all through here. Some deer poop. California wild grape. I actually did a prescribed low intensity burn here like for 2 hours. It was really fun because there was a bunch of dead just weeds and blackberry right here, so I burned all that, and man, now the California wild grape is just growing with a vengeance because it's got more living space. So and they do make edible grapes. You can also eat the leaves, And you can make, you know, cordage out of the vines. Did another burn pile here. Weed whacking all through here. Okay, good. Let's go back. And now we'll look at the wood pile. Now this could be the world's largest wood pile, the largest wood pile in the history of all humanity and of the planet Earth. It's at least 12 cords. Even I can't believe how much firewood I've made working on this property over the past 2 years. California native bunch grass. See these, any type of grass you see in California that grows in bunches, that's usually a native. This is all willow. That's all willow. Creek. And then this is what the gray squirrels do to the pine cones that fall off of the foothill pines. They remove all the scales and they eat the pine nuts. And that's what it looks like when they're done eating. Okay, wood pile. And I split 95% of this by hand. I only used a log splitter for the biggest chunks that I could not split by hand. Sometimes I'll even split with a chainsaw. If it's a big, gnarly, knotty piece, I'll just split it, rip it with a chainsaw. You know, some pieces are just too gnarly to split by hand, so you don't want to waste your time hacking away at those. Just split them with a chainsaw or a log splitter. But this is a mix of valley oak, blue oak, black oak, California black walnut, eucalyptus. It's a little bit of foothill pine and a little bit of ponderosa pine, a little bit of olive, a little bit of toyon, and there's even a little bit of madrone in here. And then you can see the these kind of purplish, reddish, more colorful pieces. This is California black walnut. This is a very desirable wood for milling into furniture and making art out of. People pay big bucks for that, for this California black walnut. And if it's been dead for a while and burnt, then it makes excellent firewood as well. The walnut really stands out if you start looking for it. Like, there's a nice piece right there. It really stands out compared to all the other wood. And that's what a dozen cords of hardwood looks like. All right, burn pile. mulberry tree. It just finished producing a ton of mulberries. The birds were just all over that tree. Now let's go across the road and we'll check out the lower section. Massive valley oak. That's one of my favorite trees here. You can see all the weed whacking and brush cutting I have done. Now I should also mention that something else that I do when I'm working on properties doing lumberjack fire safety work is I remove all the barbed wire and just garbage and just scrap metal. Every property's just got metal, you know, just lying around, and it's just dangerous to be running a weed whacker, brush cutter, and chainsaw with barbed wire and scrap metal everywhere. You know how old timers are that owned land, they never threw anything away. They would just pile up all their metal. It's just all over the place. So that was another thing that I did on this property, was I removed a lot of barbed wire and scrap metal. And of course, CAL FIRE will like that as well. The firefighters will like that as well, because they can get their machinery and they can get their crews through the property, you know, without getting caught up in a bunch of barbed wire. That was where I cut those 3 giant eucalyptus trees. Those were some of the biggest trees I've cut so far. That was 2 years ago. So this is what the lower section looks like after 2 years of my work. Obviously, I wasn't working on this property straight for 2 years. I work for 10 property owners around here, so I kind of spend a few months on each of their properties. You can see how I did not weed whack most of the California native bunch grass because I want it to go to seed and reproduce. There goes another deer. That's a doe. See that up by the road? There used to be a bunch of barbed wire right there. Now the deer can just frolic around wherever they want to, not having to worry about barbed wire. See that? The deer were not able to do that before I started working on this property. There was too much barbed wire over there. The deer only could pass through right there. So, and that's another good thing about doing lumberjack fire safety work, fire escaping, whatever you want to call it, is that it opens it up for the wildlife. And the wildlife can move around more efficiently. So you can see wherever the California native grasses are, I left them alone and did not weed whack them. So that's my philosophy, is I like to discourage the non-native invasive weeds and then encourage the California native plants. See that western fence lizard on the rock? And then here's the Native American bedrock mortar that I found, about 1.5 years ago. This was just covered in that Himalayan blackberry and thorns and weeds. And then when I started working on this area, I uncovered a archaeological relic here. Bedrock mortar. Native Americans used these for grinding acorns, pine nuts, manzanita berries, making paint. They would crush up black walnut and make dyes out of it, black dye, used for a lot of different reasons. See how nice, clean, and open it looks? Now, another good thing about doing the fire escaping is that the trees that you do leave generally speaking, flourish. They get much more big, strong, and healthy because they have more living space. There's less competition over the limited amount of water and nutrients in the soil, sunlight. And so the trees that you do leave thrive. This is going to be so nice once these young oaks grow a little bit more. You can see there's some big oaks here too, but man, just imagine how nice this is going to look when all those oaks, you know, are 100 feet tall and they've got 200-foot canopies. And then I removed a ton of barbed wire from here. You can see I still have a lot to go, but that's good enough for this year. Remember everybody, this is the very last day I'm working on Doug's property, and then I'm going to a different property. So this is the last thing I'm doing, is giving you all a tour. Show you what it looks like after my work is done. This is the work that I do. This is what I do. So this is my business card right here, this video. You can see there's the neighbor's driveway here, so that's why I weed whacked this portion of Doug's property, just in case, you know, they make a spark or flick a smoke out the window, you know, it won't light Doug's property on fire. And then I also wanted Doug, the property owner, to have easy access to his grove of fig trees down here. Well, this is an apple tree. That's a crab apple. So is this one. But the figs start through here, and there's, oh god, there's at least 20. See these? That's the fig tree. Figs are easy to recognize. They have a very distinct smell, and those big leaves, right, that Adam used to cover his genitals when God learned that they had eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Adam knew that he was naked, and he covered his genitals with a fig leaf. Genesis, Book of Genesis, Garden of Eden, right? Figs are a very important historic tree. And they're not native to California, but they are adapted to the Mediterranean, California-like climate, so they flourish here, and everybody loves figs, right? Everybody loves figs. Let's see if we can find some figs. They're not ripe yet, but I'm going to see a freaking deer in here is what I'm going to do. Man, if I was a deer, I'd be hanging out in here. Look at this. This is beautiful in here. It's like a little house. Let's see if we can find some figs. Man, there better not be a big old hog in here. You guys, if I get charged by a hog, oh, it's going to ruin the video. Well, I don't see any figs. Oh, there they are. There's some up there. See them? There's some way up there. They're green. They're not even close to being ripe, everybody. They need at least another month and a half. Maybe on August 1st they'll be ripe. All right. Oh, I never saw this tractor tire right here. Oh, well, I got to get rid of this. Oh, you guys, I never noticed this tractor tire before. Well, that's completely unacceptable. Well, I'm going to have to haul that thing out of here. All right. Even though the property owners don't really hire me to do metal removal and garbage removal, I do it anyways. Because I like the properties that I work on to look nice, you know, when I'm done. Okay. Oh, baby. Getting my cardio in for the day. Now let's go. I got a little bit of battery life left here. Let's walk all the way around to the other half of the lower section. And because I did some removal of the non-native foxtails and Medusa head over there. That's the stuff that sticks into your socks, and it can get into your dog's ears, nose, and eyes if they run through it. And it can actually kill animals if the foxtails work into their eyes deep enough. It can kill them. Now where I live, foxtails are just out of control. I have to mow and weed whack a lot so that my donkeys don't get foxtails stuck in their coats. It's kind of funny that everyone thinks of California's hills and grasslands being brown during the summer, but that's only because of all the foxtails and the non-native grasses that have invaded and just taken out everything, choked out the native vegetation. You know, historically, the hills and the grasslands in California would stay green even through the hot summer months because California native plants were adapted to the climate and soil conditions. You know, a lot of California native plants are some of the most drought tolerant plants on earth, so they actually do quite well in the heat because they evolved for millennia here. So, burn pile, burn pile, burn pile. You can see once again, I only weed whacked the invasive non-native weeds and left the native plants. Quiz: what are these purple flowers? What kind of plant is this? We just talked about it on the upper section. Brodea bulb. You can eat the bulbs, you can dig up the bulbs and eat them. Burn pile. Now this area of the property I'm quite proud of because this used to be a mangled mess of scrap metal and barbed wire up here, and it was getting twined in all these blue oaks trunks, and it was getting all dug into their branches, so I ripped it all out, and man, does this little section look good now. Look at that. Yeah. See how there's just nothing for a fire to burn? It might smolder like a ½ inch off the dirt, but that's all it can do. See how there's nothing to, no low limbs, no noxious weeds, no dead trees just choked everywhere. Everything's really clean, open, and fire resistant. Whoop, getting steep. Oh, getting steep, everybody. All right, now this is where I had to start weed whacking a bunch of star thistle. For some reason, there's just a bunch of star thistle growing, or there was growing over here and up around that blue oak. Star thistle is another non-native invasive weed that you need to watch out for. It makes these yellow flowers with thistles below them, and they can cut up your livestock. They can cut up your legs if you try to walk through them. These volcanic rock outcroppings are quite nice. This flower is called bachelor buttons. And yeah, I don't see any star thistle anymore. I don't think I missed any of it. I think I weed whacked all of it. And then this area also has a lot of the Brodea bulb. So I did the best I could to not weed whack those. Made a couple mistakes. I hit a couple of those purple flowers, but not too bad. And I went all the way down to the edge of the pond. Here's another California native plant.